This is part 2 of chapter 4. I left off last time talking about memory. There's a whole lot involved with memory and working memory, right? So make sure you pay attention to this section in the textbook just for a little more information. Also, under the cognitive theory is an episodic buffer, which to be honest, I had to look up because I was like, I think I know what that is, but let me just make sure. And I didn't have the textbook in front of me. So I Googled what is an episodic buffer. It is one of the components of the working memory model. It is a temporary store that integrates information from other components and maintains a sense of time so that events occur in a continuing sequence. So all this kind of happens behind the scenes, right? We don't know that it's happening, but it's happening. What is a real life? Oh, this should say, what is a real life example? So there was one study that said day-to-day activities of individuals are likely to rely on the episodic buffer. For example, linking a name of a building with a physical location, oh my goodness, is important if someone like myself, and that was not me, myself, it was the author of the study, needs to remember a complex route to the library. Okay, so linking something together might help you all out, but look in your textbook for more information just because I know my time is limited in these recordings. So working memory problems, students with high incidence disabilities, memory span. I talked about that a little bit a second ago, right? Rehearsal. Sometimes they struggle with rehearsing information. They maybe don't know how to do it. We're going to talk about chunking, but chunking is a rehearsal strategy that we use to keep information in short-term memory or to transfer information into a long-term memory or into long-term memory. So students with HI, they're going to struggle here. They're going to struggle with long-term memory units. So getting things, especially getting things kind of out of long-term memory and back into, hey, wait, I need this right now. Schema theory is a packet of knowledge about a particular concept that is stored in your long-term memory. So especially maybe a math schema or something like that. Executive function, this is an overarching supervisory mechanism that controls many different cognitive processes. In regard to metacognition, or kind of thinking about your thinking, it refers specifically to the coordination of procedural, declarative, and conditional knowledge, sometimes also referred to as executive control. So again, all this stuff that kind of happens behind the scenes, right? Metacognition, really thinking about your thinking, knowledge of tasks and strategies, and the flexible use of a strategy. So knowing when, in math especially, to use a specific strategy or when to not use a specific strategy. A strategy is a set procedure or series of steps for successfully completing a task. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I still have like 8 more slides to go, and my time always runs out. But take some more time and look in your textbook, especially about memory, cognitive theories, stuff like that. All right, social learning theory. This is one where a theory that says learning occurs as the result of an interaction of 3 different factors, okay? Physical characteristics of the person, or P, person, physical characteristics, environmental contingencies, or E, kind of what's going on in the environment, and the person's behavior, B. So P, E, and B, the interaction of the physical characteristics of the person, the environmental contingencies, what's going on, and the person's behavior all lead to social learning theory. So this is where we want to talk about the self. Self-regulation, developing personal standards to evaluate one's performance, deciding whether we met those standards, and deciding whether one should get a reward for meeting those standards. Self-control, the ability to control one's behaviors or actions, even when others are not around to judge the individual. So maybe with rewards or punishment, others are not around to provide rewards or punishment. So teaching, especially our kids with HI disabilities, teaching them to be in control of their emotions and their behaviors, even if someone's not right next to them watching them. Self-reflection, reflecting and judging one's past actions. In some cases, the individual will make adjustments to his or her actions to change future behavior or performance, which to me really goes along with that antecedent behavior consequence model that we talked about under the way back up here under the behavioral theory. Okay, and then what was the other one? Self-efficacy, one's beliefs about what one is capable of doing. So our students with high incidence disabilities, guess what? They probably have a pretty low belief about what they're capable of. Maybe they've heard that their whole lives. Oh, you're never going to amount to anything. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you don't deserve to be in school. So if you hear something your whole life, guess what? That's what you're going to start thinking. So that's, hopefully as their special ed teachers, as their future special ed teachers, you can show them, hey, you are important. You can do this. You are valuable, and really help change their self-efficacy. All right, another theory is constructivist, oh my goodness, theory. So constructivists focus on addressing the social nature of learning and comprehending, including the importance of meaningfulness for learning. So this also kind of says that it stresses the social nature of learning. We just talked about that. Instead of more of the behavioral and cognitive aspects of learning. So this is more of a everyone's, all students are active learners. They're always searching for and constructing knowledge. The best predictor of what is learned is based on what students already know. Okay, form follows function in learning. Learning occurs best when it goes from whole to part to whole. Errors are essential. The end goal is the construction of knowledge, not necessarily the transmission of it, but a little bit different than behavioral theories and cognitive theories where we really look at, okay, the antecedent, the behavior, the consequences. We looking at the working memory, the long-term memory. This is really looking at the social, again, the social nature of learning, and also that all students are active learners. To me, and this is not good or bad, this is just my opinion, constructivist is similar a little bit to Montessori learning. Okay, so I know there are a lot of Montessori schools out there now. We're trying to do some Montessori classes and programs. So I always kind of equated the two. They're not exactly the same, obviously. So don't go around saying, oh yeah, constructivism and Montessori is the same. No, 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 no. But Montessori really believes that students are active learners and always searching for and constructing knowledge. Okay, so that is another theory of learning. So we want to think just for a second. Wait, did I skip one? Hold, please. Hold one moment. I know I'm going back. I'm going back. I'm going back. Slow your roll. Okay, I'm just gonna sing to y'all. Oh, I thought there was another one, but I think I am making some stuff up. I am making some stuff up. All right. So thinking about how we can use these theories in teaching. You might have kind of a favorite one, right? Or you might really be a behaviorist, or you might be a cognitive theorist, or you might be a constructive theorist, or you might not know what you are. But thinking about, again, how students typically learn, thinking about the challenges of our students with high incidence disabilities, and then what can we do about it? How can we use what we know about these theories to aid us in teaching these students who we know are going to struggle with learning, right? So we really want to think about, the reinforcement, again, going back to behavioral theory, really thinking, I think I did that before, didn't I? Really thinking about reinforcement and reinforcers and how we're going to reinforce students' behavior. Of course, 98% of the time, in my opinion, we would rather use positive reinforcement, right? But sometimes you have to use that negative reinforcement, even though it's still going to increase the behavior that you want to see. And remember, negative reinforcement does not mean it's bad, right? It does not mean it is a negative consequence, okay? But really thinking about the antecedents, the behaviors, the consequences. Like task analysis, that is where you break down a large task into smaller subtasks or steps, especially for our kiddos with autism. This, task analyses work really well if you give them the task of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Think about how many steps are truly involved in making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There's a lot, right? We don't think about it because we just do it. It's just second nature. We don't even think about it. We go to the cabinet, we get out a plate, we go to maybe the microwave or the refrigerator or the counter, wherever you store your bread. You get out the bread. You go to the pantry where you store your peanut butter. You get your peanut butter out. Then you go maybe to the refrigerator where you store your jelly. Oh, well, I have strawberry jelly and gross grape jelly. Why would anybody have grape jelly? Just kidding. If you're a grape jelly fan, kudos to you. I am not. So you have strawberry jelly and you have raspberry jelly. Which jelly do I want today? Oh, well, I think I want no, I want strawberry. No, I want raspberry. So you take the jelly out. Oh, now I have to open the peanut butter. Oh, well, I also need a knife. So let me get a knife. I got to spread the peanut butter on one side of the bread. Then if you were living in my mother's house, you could not use the same knife for the peanut butter and the jelly. She really did not like peanut butter, and she's still alive, so I don't mean to sound that she's not still here. I don't live with her anymore. She does not like peanut butter and jelly in the same jar. So you would have to get another knife. Oh, I have to get another knife. I have to get the jelly. I have to put the jelly on the bread. Then I have to put the bread together. Then I have to put the sandwich on the plate. Then I have to put the knife in the sink. Then I have to put the jelly back. It's a lot, right? Break that task down. Who knew there were so many steps involved in making a peanut butter jelly sandwich? You're welcome. Something to think about. But break that skill down and teach small parts. Okay, today we're going to learn how to take out a plate. We have to find the right cabinet, right? Find the right cabinet, take out a plate, and then we're going to take out the bread, and then we're going to just stop for a few minutes. Okay, now let's go back. And you're going to teach those same sections, those same subsections or subtasks over and over and over again. Again, for someone like you or me, probably, you do it without even thinking about it. You could make one in your sleep. But for our students who struggle, they're going to struggle with stuff like that. So really looking at how you can break down skills like, making a sandwich, brushing their teeth, getting dressed in the morning. All of those things have so many components that we don't even think about. But our students, your students with HI disabilities, will need to be taught those skills and those steps explicitly. All right, group contingencies. This might work for some students, it might not. We are really the process of providing the reinforcer only when the response occurs. And in this case, it's when the whole group does whatever. So if the whole class, blah, 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 then the whole class gets 10 minutes extra recess or whatever that group contingency might be, okay? So then thinking about cognitive theories, and of course I only have like 5 minutes left, story of my life, people, 4 minutes left. So thinking about cognitive theories, how can we apply the information processing model in teaching? Attention, okay, well, this helps one focus on those important bits of information in a task that are crucial for learning or functioning. Again, attention, chunking, task analysis, think about how you can break down learning into smaller steps or steps that go together so you can chunk some steps. These kids, their attention span is not going to be maybe the same as yours or mine or your own kids. So think about how you can get their attention, first of all, but then also maintain their attention. All right, chunking, we talked about this, a rehearsal strategy that we use to keep information in short-term memory or to transfer information into long-term memory. Meaningfulness, thinking about or showing our students the importance and the meaning of learning and constructing knowledge, even though I know I threw in another theory, but that's okay. Analogies, strategies, any of these things that might help your students. We talked about strategies a few minutes ago, a set, a procedure or series of steps for successfully completing a task. All right, and so then some applications of cognitive theory, some other applications, really looking at the social learning theory, kind of under that cognitive theory, models. So using your peers as models for one thing, using you as a model. Watch me, I'm going to do this first, my turn, okay? Being very explicit. Cooperative learning, organizing students into heterogeneous groups of 4 or 5 students in which students are responsible for achieving group and individual goals. And that is something, those group goals could go back to the group contingency. So you can kind of mix and match a little bit behavioral theory and cognitive theory. Oh boy, don't tell everybody, they might come yelling at me. And then also classified peer tutoring or CWPT. You might also know it as maybe PALS, peer assisted learning strategies. That's kind of a specific brand of CWPT. And if you take other classes with me, I promise we will talk about that. But basically, students directly assist or teach other students skills or knowledge. And there's specific ways to partner them up and all that other stuff. You can look at your textbook for that. And then just to finish up, some application of constructivist theories, zone of proximal development. Vygotsky, you've probably heard of this before. So this is the range between a student's present problem-solving developmental capability and what the student is capable of when guided by an expert. So really thinking of them, okay, if you're a novice now, well, let me provide you with an expert model, whether it's me, whether it's a peer, whether it's somebody else, and let's see where you're capable of going. What is that ZPD? And scaffolding, to finish it up, teacher support students by directing their learning. As you move on in the learning process, you want to fade your scaffolding. You want to start really strongly scaffolding those students or really fully scaffolding and then you want to fade as time goes on. Okay, that is the end of chapter 4. I'll see you again for chapter 5.